For this screencast, we will be talking about government. For what is government? It is a system of rules for how a group, and this could be a small community or country, is how they should be ruled. The three reasons we need government would be for safety and to preserve order, to organize large building projects, and to keep track of economic sanctions, which we know today as taxes. Some types. The first one we'll talk about is theocracy. Here, a government leader and the religious leader are the same person, so there's no separation of church and state. And in the past, we saw this with ancient Egypt under Pharaoh, where the Egyptians believed the Pharaoh was not only the leader, but he was also a god. In a dictatorship, all power is controlled by one ruler, and this is almost always a very brutal ruler, especially from our example, which was Nazi Germany under Adolf Hitler. In an absolute monarchy, the king or queen have total control of the government and society. Nothing holds back their power, and the way they're given their power is simply by birth. You are the son of the king, and that is how you get the power. And this is the case in ancient Persia. The King Darius had a son. His son was Xerxes. Xerxes became the king, and so on. It's not based on merit at all. It's simply what order you're born. In an oligarchy, it is a government ruled by a small group. For example, in ancient Sparta, which was that warrior culture of ancient Greece, only free male Spartans had complete control of the government. But given the number of women and slaves among them, the free males were the absolute minority. In fact, the ratio of slave to free people is why the Spartans were so militarized. They always were on the lookout and had to put down slave revolts. In a constitutional monarchy, the powers of the king are checked by a constitution. So unlike an absolute monarchy, the ruler, the king, is not absolute. And this really starts with the Magna Carta being signed by King John in England during the Middle Ages, and that is why the United Kingdom is still a constitutional monarchy. Most monarchies in the world today are constitutional monarchies. Now, two types of democracy. The first one is direct democracy. And here, everyone who is able to votes directly on the issues, such as in ancient Athens that pioneered democracy. All the able-bodied males would vote on issues regarding the city. It works in a very small group. You still see this today in modern-day small-town meetings. Now, when you get a larger group of people, it's not very practical to have them all gather in one place, so that moves on to a representative democracy. And here, citizens elect representatives who run the government and pass the laws. This is also known as a republic, and from history, this is the Roman Republic. The United States today is also a republic modeled on this, and the Republic works over direct democracy simply because of numbers. Rome was much bigger than Athens, so it made more sense to elect a few people instead of trying to gather all free people to vote. Some key terms to know. The dynasty, which is a series of rulers from the same family. You see this in absolute monarchies and constitutional monarchies. And here power is passed from father to son. In China, for example, they called it the mandate of heaven, where God will support a just ruler, but if it's an unjust ruler or corrupt one, they will dethrone them. And this is why the Chinese can explain the fall of dynasties, the rise and fall. A dynasty is good, they rise, it turns corrupt, and it falls and is replaced. An empire is where a group of nations or states are ruled over by an emperor. Mostly, this is seen in the ancient world, such as in Persia, Rome, of course, and the Assyrians, all created large empires. A bureaucracy is a structured organization of managers to help a ruler effectively rule a large government. The larger the government, larger the territory, you need help running it to make it run efficiently. So in India, villages banded together under local leaders called Rahaj, and these were military leaders who vowed to protect the people in the local area. While in Persia, a similar situation was made when King Darius appointed these people called satraps, and they ruled different regions of the large empire. Persian Empire was very large. Darius couldn't reach all of it, so he hired key people to run those certain areas, and what he would do was conduct spot checks to make sure they acted correctly. Both the titles are similar to our modern-day governors in the United States. Lastly, checks and balances. It's where certain parts of a government have a degree of power over the other, and this is to make sure you don't have one branch becoming too powerful, turning into a dictator or an absolute monarch. In ancient Rome, they used this system to maintain the peace between their two groups of people, which were the patricians and plebeians. The United States uses this today with our three branches of legislative, executive, and judicial. This is why the president cannot be too powerful, why Congress provides funding, and how the Supreme Court can declare laws unconstitutional. Lastly, for your essential question, please answer this question in at least a paragraph, so 3 to 5 sentences. What do you feel is the essential purpose of having a government to you? Why does government need to exist?